Here we're going to talk about some of the other things dealing with inventory. This is the second part of two YouTube videos on this topic. In the first YouTube video, we went through these buttons and what they are generally for, and then we specifically went through how to set up a new inventory item. Now I'd like to take a look at something else here with this same button, which is to set up inventory defaults. This is generally only going to be done at the beginning. When you first set up a company, you're going to set up these defaults. Then you'll start putting in the new inventory items. So if we click on this, we have various tabs. Okay. Here's where we can allow duplicate values in that barcode field that we looked at the first YouTube. Here is a default item class. So if you know, most of the things that you sell are stock items, then you can just put that in as being the default, and then that will automatically show up. Every time I put a new inventory item in, it'll just show up as a stock item, and then I can change it if I want to at that point in time, but at least I'll only have to change it if it's different. Since most of my stuff is stock items, I could just leave that default there. Now, Bellwether Garden Supply, they have quite a few services and non-stock items and things like that. So they just went ahead and left this blank. And so there's no default, and every single new inventory item they have to put in, they have to then say, what is this classification of type? Here's ordering things, and you can have a variety of things. These are warnings. We talked about how many you want to make sure are hand. We had 3. We said we wanted of those particular bird houses to be on hand at minimum. And then if so, we want to reorder 6 more. Every time we get down to 3, we want to order 6 more. And this is where you say that, yes, I want to be warned when I'm getting low of a particular item, and yes, I want to be warned if the item is out of stock, etc. Okay? And so, but you have various options here that that you can do. Here is where we're checked that that the Sage 50 can automatically create the purchase order for those extra bird houses when we need to order them. This next tab is where we put in our default account numbers. So when we sell inventory, what account do we want to credit? And so we're using 40,000, which is sales. Now, each inventory item, as we put it in, we can change the sales number if we want to. But this is just saying it's going to bring this up as being the default. So if you have defaults in there, you don't have to put these numbers in for each and every time, just the ones that are different. This is saying what inventory account do you want to use whenever we buy this stuff. And so for stock items, we want to use 12,000, which is the inventory account. Okay, but for some of these non-stock and service items, a service item is where one of our people, one of our employees, is, say, doing a lawn service for a customer. Well, so we're going to put the cost to us, which is wages to that employee to go do that lawn service. So the cost to us is going to go into wages expense instead of inventory. When we purchase inventory to put on the shelves, we're going to debit $12,000, which is inventory. When we pay an employee to go provide a service for a customer, we're going to debit $77,500 instead. This third column says, well, what account do you want to use as being the cost of goods sold account? And so if it's an inventory item, we're going to use the account called product cost as being our cost of goods sold item. Remember that whenever you have a perpetual inventory item, that means I'm constantly debiting inventory when inventory is coming in, and I'm crediting inventory when inventory is going out. And if I have a periodic inventory system, I'm going to debit purchases, which is an expense account, when inventory is coming in. Okay, and when inventory goes out, when it gets sold, I am not crediting anything, okay, other than I have my sales transactions where I debit cash and credit sales. Okay, that's already taken care of over here in this first column. But if I have a perpetual inventory system, I have to debit inventory when I purchase the inventory and it comes into the store, and I have to credit inventory when I sell it and it goes out of the store. So every single time I sell inventory, I got to calculate how much did this inventory cost me using FIFO, LIFO, or average cost, and then credit that inventory account for that cost. Not how much we charge the customer, but how much it cost us. And I'm going to debit a cost of goods sold account. So here's our cost of goods sold account that we're going to use depending on what kind of inventory type of thing. And here is our method. And once again, you have the choice between FIFO, LIFO, or average cost. Okay? And you can use, you can set your own company on that. This is where you can set up taxes. And so Bellwether Garden Supply only really has two. Either it's a taxable thing, which is, like I say, most inventory item products are going to be taxable as far as sales tax is concerned. And so we put that check mark there. And then number two is exempt. This might be for some services, or this might be if we sell something to another place that's going to turn around and resell it, so that they're not the final customer, and so we don't charge them sales tax. They're going to charge sales tax to their customer. So these are the only two that Bellwether Garden Supply uses, and they'll be the only two that you'll need to use. The shipping methods are all these different shipping methods that Bellwether Garden Supply set up. So you have 10 different shipping methods that you can set up for your company. You won't need to do this for your project. Here are where Bellwether Garden Supply set up those custom questions that they want to know about, or to be able to put information about. You will not need these for your project as well. And here again is price level defaults. And so if you always want price level 2 to be 90% of price level 1, you could do that. Okay, and here's where you can set up a default calculation for price levels. Okay, so once you set up your company and you've set up your defaults, you have set up your inventory items. If there is, this is the inventory item that we set up in the previous YouTube. Now, if there was any beginning balances that we had of these particular birdhouses, then I can go to beginning balances, and I have to put in the item ID. So that was AVRY. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to select it. So here it is. Okay, I'm going to put in how many of these things did I have to start with. And so especially if you're starting a company where you already have some inventory before you set the company up, then you would be using this. So let's say we had one of these, or we'll say, since we want a minimum of 3, we'll say that we have 3 of these and they cost us $20 a piece, and so we should have $60 worth of this particular inventory in our beginning inventories. Now, of course, you would also have to make sure that this $60 is already included in your inventory account, general ledger inventory balance. When you set up the beginning balances from your chart of accounts, this $60 needed to also be in that number, because otherwise now my inventory report is going to show a different number than my inventory that's in the general ledger if I don't make sure that the two coincide. Okay, now let's take a look at the inventory adjustments button. Here's where we're going to bring up a particular inventory, and so here's a birdhouse kit. We'll bring this up, and the unit cost of that is $55.90. It's telling us in gray. I can't change that. It's telling us that we have 29 of these on hand. Okay, and so let's say that one of them fell to the floor off the shelf and got busted. So I'm going to do this adjust quantity by. I'm going to put a -1 in there, and then I'm going to go over to reason to adjust and say broken. Okay, and notice that now the new quantity is now 28, and it's going to show in there. Okay, and this will also make a journal entry, a general journal entry, to take this out of the inventory account in the general ledger as well. The reports button, one of the major reports that we like to use for Accounting 240 is this inventory profitability report. So this shows each item, how many items we sold during this period, how much is the sales, how much did it cost us, how much therefore is the gross profit. Of course, you remember our gross profit formula is sales minus the cost of goods sold is our gross profit. The gross profit percentage is calculated by taking the gross profit and dividing it by the sales, and that gives us our gross profit percentage. Now, typically, a gross profit percentage is kept fairly tight by management. So if these birdhouses run a 78.5%, close to 78.5% gross profit, then we would like to keep that at approximately that level of gross profit. So also, because this is a high gross profit item, we would like to sell more of these as opposed to less. Whenever you have something that you make a lot of gross profit on, you want to sell more of those items. So what can we do as managers to make sure that we sell more of these particular birdhouses? Should we advertise more? This also gives us a lot of leeway to maybe have a sale on this and discount the price a little, and we still got plenty of room to do that, to draw people in. Okay, things which have a very low gross profit, well, we need to sell lots of those just to make any money. And sometimes a company will not sell an item anymore, not because it isn't popular, people are buying it, but it's such a low gross profit, they're just not making enough to warrant the trouble and the hassle of doing that. So if you're the manager, you're going to want to be very familiar with this report and everything that it tells you. Okay, various of these reports allow for you to take a look and see how many of them do we have, and what's the reorder quantity, and all things like that. Okay, and again, here's this physical inventory list at the bottom. We already looked at that, is where you can put your counts of your physical inventory, and then you can compare them to what these computer inventory valuation type reports say that you have. All right, this concludes our inventory transactions.